What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to do part 2 of the Venture 2300 overview and review. I've had some time to use it now, so I'm going to show you guys how I have everything set up and give you my thoughts on it. So we'll start out with how I've got it set up right now. This is probably going to be the normal way that I set it up. I've got my one stick attached to the front here, and I've got my camera arm inside the pocket with my knee pads on top of it with the strap going around the knee pads. That holds that pretty tight. And then on the other side, I've got my Kuiu Pro Bino harness with the cell phone holder and the rangefinder holder also buckled to the side. Now, I don't like to wear my Bino harness into the woods just because, you know, it's oftentimes thick where I can't see that far anyway. So there's no reason to have the Bino harness on, making me hot and all that stuff. So I found it better to attach it to the side of the pack, put it on once I get into the tree. Now, another way I would set it up, and it would be fully dependent on how far I'm walking in, my bow would strap to the front here in place of my stick, and I would carry my stick in. Or I could strap my stick to the top of my Ultimaider OSPack. Like I said, this is going to be my normal configuration. Sometimes there would be another outer layer, you know, beside this stick, strapped to it with the stick. I don't really have much sway because the stick sits on top of the bag. I've also got this bottom strap here ran up under this rope hook that is attached to my stick. So on the inside, this front vertical pocket here, I've got the WinPro beanie and the WinPro face mask along with some gloves. I really don't put anything else in there. This top pocket here that runs horizontal, that goes down to about right here, I keep my release and, you know, some ibuprofen, you know, stuff that I'm gonna have to access quickly. In the main pocket, I've got the 3-liter platypus. You can see I've got the hose cover to match my camo with the clip that clips the hose to the pack, so keeps that from flopping all over the place. So I really like to use the platypus on longer hunts where I don't want to be digging in and out of my bag, or, you know, pulling out a big old thermos and making a bunch of moves, to be easily spotted by, you know, a monster buck. So I also have an outer layer on the inside, just a jacket, and I also have my camera gear, an ozone generator. I also have the pack accessory pouch attached to the inside. The inside has these loops just like this, so you just clip it to the inside and let it hang, and it's also a vertical pocket. But I use that to separate my calls and stuff like that from everything else in the bag. You know, it's not the perfect scenario inside the bag, but it does allow me to just reach up there, grab the zipper, pull it down a little bit, and stick my hand in, dig for what I need. The two bigger pockets on the inside, I've got extra gloves, dry socks, hand warmers, and I've got some socks to go over the outside of my boots to hold hand warmers just in case my feet get extra cold. And I've also got some extra beaners and stuff like that in there. So the belt pockets, you know, there's two pretty big belt pockets on the belt. And on this side, I've got a rechargeable headlamp in there, you know, so easily accessed. The other side, I've got a pistol in there just in case, you know, stuff pops off. But anyway, I'm going to put this pack on and let you see how it rides on top of my saddle. Some folks may think that the belt and the pouches on your saddle will kind of interfere with each other, but I've not found that to be the case. It's kind of comfortable, you know, putting it on and taking it off. I don't have any problem. Now, the only problem I do have is if my bow or my gun is attached to my pack. Obviously, it's going to sit down lower than this, so it's going to come in contact with the things that are protruding from my saddle. I'm going to put this on real quick and, you know, kind of give you a turn around and see what it looks like. I keep this carabiner on here all the time. It's a Night Eyes number 4. It's got a 75-pound capacity, and I hang my pack from this, you know, every time I get in the tree. So I just leave it there and then just kind of let it sit in between there so it doesn't flop all over the place. But Just like that. You know, I don't feel any pressure on my saddlebags. You know, it may be touching, but you know, I have pretty good range of mobility. And the waist belt, you know, kind of keeps it tighter to my body so I don't get any sway. And I can't really see the stick. I'm sure it sways just a little bit, but I can't tell that when I'm walking in. So I'm going to take my pack off, and so I just slip my left arm out, lift it up, no snag. You know, when I get to the base of the tree, I take my stick off, set it to the side. I'll take my bow, and I'll strap it to the pack, and then I'll take off my knee pads, and I'll put the strap back to hold my camera arm till I get in the tree. And I'll put knee pads on. I'll go ahead and put my stick on. So when we get our stick on the tree, obviously it'll be a little bit higher and I'll be climbing up the aider. For demonstration purposes, we're gonna have it right here, but I'll go ahead and I'll take my rappel line out because that's what I use as my tether all the way up. I will find the other end of my rappel line and I will tie a knot with a loop, just to overhand, and then I will hook this to that carabiner that I said stays on that hand strap. So I'll pull the rest of it out, get ready to climb. Throw it over my neck. I'll go ahead and climb, hook my tether up. I'll have the excess hanging to the ground, and I'll just pull everything else up at one time. Now, I used to do that separately. I'd pull my backpack up with my rappel line, and I would pull my bow up with a Dynaglide pull-up rope. That worked okay, but pulling everything up at once worked a whole lot better. Climbing with the backpack on is less than optimal, to say the least. Especially mine's weighing about 18 to 22 pounds with water in it. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and climb up here and go ahead and set up my gear strap where it would normally be, get tethered in, and we'll pull it up and hook the bag to the gear strap, put my bow on here, show you what it looks like when we're hanging from the tree. When I get set up in the tree, I am a leaner and a sitter, so I put my tether a little bit lower, so when I'm standing straight up, it's about chest height. And then so I put my safeguard a few inches from the quick link so I can still activate the handle, but I make my bridge as long as possible to be able to lean comfortably and sit comfortably. That being said, I like to keep my gear strap about forehead height or maybe a little bit higher. I like to keep my bow up out of the way, and I like to be able to hook a GoPro up here. So I always use this clip here to make sure that this tag end is hanging at about 3 o'clock from the tree. I've got my rappel line is just hanging down from the tree, and all I do is pull everything up. And I will take my bow off. And I will hang it from the tree. And then I will take my rappel line off of my backpack, let it drop down, and then I will take that carabiner and I will hook it right there. So I can move it down where this pouch on the belt is just above my knees. That way, it's not going to interfere with me sitting down. So then I'll go ahead and I'll buckle the belt around the tree. So this is where the backpack is going to sit. Then, I can open that top zipper, let that hang open. I can stick stuff in there, take it out. I can go ahead and hook everything up the way I want it to be. I've got my camera arm here. All I gotta do is unclip it, put it around the tree, and I'm ready to go. I'll leave that loop on because I'll use it later when I'm coming down. So I'll figure eight it. Fold it in half. Now I'm hunting. So one really important thing that I wanted to talk about with this bag is it is Cordura. Naturally, it is a loud fabric. Now, when I first got this pack, it was, extremely loud, over the top loud. I had read where Kuiu actually suggests to wash the pack and it should quieten down a little bit. I did wash the pack, but I made a fatal mistake, or almost fatal mistake. The backer that is in here to stiffen the back of the pack, I took it out and I washed it without it the first time. That was a terrible idea because after it was dry, when I put it back in, I couldn't get it back in. So it took me, a good hour and a half to get that backer back into the slot. So what I did was once I got it back in there, I washed it again, and when it dried, it had loosened back up to the way it's supposed to be. So just for future reference, do not wash it without the backer inside of it. Now you can probably hear some noise. When you're in the tree, you're not going to be making all that noise. The zippers are extremely quiet. I mean, that's trying to make noise with it, and it's very, very quiet. The zippers on the outside are a little bit louder, but not unmanageable. You can pinch the zipper and pull it and make it a lot quieter. Overall, the noise level with the pack is definitely manageable after a wash or two. I definitely recommend washing it twice, like I said, with the backer inside of it. I've got my Bino harness attached to the side, so all I've got to do is unclip it, put it on. I'm ready to go. You can see here, this extra pack here is the pack that I was talking about, the accessory pack. So you can unzip it all the way down and then your stuff will fall out of it, but if you unzip it about a third of the way, you can reach your hand in there and dig for whatever you need. So that's a good way to keep your calls or whatever else you keep in there separate from the main compartment contents. Make it easily accessible when you're in the tree. I talked about the hydration bladder a little bit earlier. As you can see, this is where I'd be sitting. We're here, and the hose is attached to the left side of the pack. So I can unclip that, and then it just hangs here. I don't always use the bladder, but I definitely like to on all-day sits. I'm not going to say that the bladder is a necessity, but if you're planning on doing an all-day sit and you want to move as little as possible, I highly recommend putting a bladder in this pack. Some of you may be wondering what camera arm this is. This is the Genesis 3D printing sub 1 3-arm camera arm, and so I'll be doing a video on that. So far I do really like it. It's really light, compact, easy to pack. So anyway, I wanted to show you exactly how I would get this back down, and so I'm going to reverse the whole process. So take everything down, pack it up. Now when I'm coming down, I'm going to have my Bino harness on, and I generally don't take my Bino harness off to put it on the pack to go down, but once I get to the ground, I'll go ahead and put it on the pack. So zip this bad boy back up. bow. It's a little more difficult to do in the tree than it is on the ground, but it is manageable. So now it's hooked to the pack, and I will release my rappel line. I'll find the end of it, let the rest drop. Undo the belt from around the tree. I'll lift the pack off the tree and I'll lower it down. At that point, I go ahead and take my gear strap off, put it back in my OSP pack, rappel down a little bit, grab my stick, also hook it to my OSP pack, and then rappel on down. So now we're going to get into the beans, if you will, of what I like and what I do not like as a saddle hunter. One thing I do like is the ability to strap all the way around this pack. It has these loops all the way around it. It's got 2 on the top, 2 here, it's got 2 here, it's got 2 on the top of the inside. And so what that does is it allows you to configure these straps in different ways, especially in late season when you're carrying a bunch of layers. You know, you're definitely going to want to be able to strap stuff to the outside of this pack. Having said that, at the same time, I would not recommend buying this pack with the expectation of being able to pack out meat. I just don't think it's laid out for that. You may be able to get some kind of attachment to attach to these loops to be able to do that, but you know, as it sits right here, the way you buy it from Kuiu, I just don't think that's feasible. I really do love these backpack straps. They're extremely comfortable on the shoulders. In addition to the belt loop, or the belt strap, if you will, it is extremely comfortable. It distributes the weight very well. And these load distributor straps right here really come in handy. What I'll do is I'll loosen these all the way up, and then once I get everything packed on and the backpack on and strapped, you know, all the way in, I will go ahead and I will pull those until it distributes the weight evenly. I think without these load distribution straps, I think that it would leave a lot to be desired. I really like all of the pockets inside and outside of this pack, with the exception of this one here. I don't know what the ideal cargo would be for this pocket, but the only thing that I've found that would fit in there comfortably would be, you know, beanies, face mask, gloves, nothing hard obviously, but anything else I've tried to put in there was extremely awkward, hard to get in and out. I really do wish that it was just another horizontal pocket just like this that went down the same depth of this pocket. So it would allow you to unzip it, open it up, and dig down into it. I feel like that would make this this pocket here a lot more useful. I have really put this bag through its paces over the last several months. I do not see any stitching breaking or coming loose. The only problem I had with this pack was the chest buckle. I don't know how it happened, but it was right after I got it. One of the little prongs broke off. So I contacted Kuiu and they sent me a replacement immediately. So no harm, no foul. One thing I really didn't touch on earlier was the straps on the bottom here. These buckles here are extremely difficult to deal with, and you're definitely not going to be able to do it one-handed, but they do come loose, and once you get them off, they're easy to put back on. Now, if I was going to try to put my bow or my gun on the front of this pack, then this would be where I would put my stick if I didn't want to carry it in. Or I could use it for a tripod or, you know, anything of that nature. I will kind of backtrack and say that on the inside of this panel, there's 2 pockets. There's one here and one here. Obviously this pocket stops here, but this zipper pocket on the inside stops way down here. Now it is extremely difficult if this pack is loaded to unzip that and get down there and get what you're looking for. I'm not going to say it's a bad pocket or a bad design. I'm just saying for me it's not an optimal configuration to be able to organize stuff and be able to access it while you're hunting. When I washed this thing twice, both times I used the wash and repel from Granger's, and this pack really repels water now. It did whenever I first got it, but it really repels water. Now, it's not waterproof by any means. As long as you're not in a torrential downpour and you use the wash and repel or any kind of repelling sprays, this would be okay in a light to medium rain. So I wanted to talk about the side pockets. Now, you see that I've got this camera arm in there, and you can't really tell, but this camera arm is kind of wide. Now, I could probably stick this down in there like that comfortably, but I found that sticking it in here like so was just fine. It's not very deep. You know, that's as deep as it is right there. My issue with the pocket is I have tried to use a water bottle in here, and it's not wide enough at the bottom, so you know the bottle winds up being about halfway into the pocket and winds up falling out while you're walking in. That is definitely a downfall if you are a bottle user, but it is perfect for stuff like, you know, a camera arm, or it's even big enough to put a rifle stock in and then use these two straps to you know, hold the rifle to the pack. So depending on, you know, how you're going to use it, you know, that may or may not be a big factor to you. So you can see that that is in there and it is not coming out. So you can see I've got some pine sap on there. I was really concerned about the integrity of this hand strap here. It looks like it's just sewed right into the fabric right here. And so I've had this thing weighted down pretty good, and hanging from the tree, it doesn't look like it's even putting any stress on it at all. There's no ripped threads or, you know, pulled fabric or anything like that, so I think this will hold up for a pretty good while. These pads back here really make a huge difference. Being able to have this airflow in your back when you're walking any kind of distance, you know, especially early season, you start sweating really bad, and this really kind of limits the amount of sweat that you get on your back. Also, there's some silicone on the outside of this mesh here that also keeps the bag from, you know, sliding back and forth on your back. So the breathability of, you know, your shoulder straps and these pads here and the belt are definitely a major plus. That pretty much wraps this bag up. I'm going to continue to use this bag unless I see something that really catches my eye. I've tried about 15 different packs already, and you know, this has topped every one of them by far. Unfortunately, they had another size. It was the 1800. I think it got discontinued, so I kind of see discontinuing this in the future, but you know, you never know how that's going to go. I do know that they did release a new bag called the Venture Divide, and they have it in a 2,000 cubic inch and a 3,000 cubic inch. Those also look like they have their benefits, but you know, for what I need and you know, the stuff I carry, this has done extremely well for me. I think this is an excellent pack, especially for saddle hunters. This isn't obviously geared towards saddle hunters because Kuiu is more geared towards Western hunting. So if you're even remotely considering getting this pack, I highly recommend it. If you're a meat hauler, obviously I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're thinking about getting this thing, I'd go ahead and get it before they do discontinue it, and give it a shot. I'll be doing a video on the Kuiu Pro Bino harness with the cell phone holder and rangefinder pouch, as well as the Stalker 500 Pro hydration pack. So be on the lookout for those two videos. If you think of anything that I've missed on this pack, or you've got any questions, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, leave a comment on this video on YouTube. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Let me know if there's anything you like or don't like about my videos. That would be a really big help to me. Be sure to leave me a like, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time in Rob's Man Cave.